Warm welcome to you on Filme Shilmy. It's absolutely wonderful to be in conversation with you. And congratulations on Rudra.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's nice. It's nice to be here.
Yes. So, I mean, it's such a great and layered role. And it's your first OTT venture. So, when playing the narcissist sociopath, how do you actually get into the psyche of such a character?
So I did not really have a reference point for it because everything that you see in films or if you see on OTT majorly are all psychopaths with no emotion. Sociopaths still have some kind of emotion. So I really did not have a sort of reference point, and I didn't watch the original series. So I sort of created this character on my own in my head, and I had to really work on being her because she's absolutely different from who I am. And we rarely have sociopaths and psychopaths around us to learn from them. So I read a lot of articles. I sort of did a lot of homework. I worked on my body language, on the way, on the usage of the eyes. So there's a lot that went into it, and I think it has to be one of the toughest characters that I've had to play so far.
Right. So Alia seems to be a notable role within your filmography. Does the darkness of a character ever impact you mentally, even after you've wrapped up the day's work on set?
I think I've worked in enough films to understand when to switch off from my character and be me. And I have done that every time I would slip into her shoes and become her. As soon as they would rap, I would just become myself. Of course, there are things that you feed off each other. Like this woman that I play earlier, she's such a go getter. And I don't think I'm like that. I just flow like water wherever it takes me. But she's like, she'll get what she wants. So there's this thing that I really learned from her, and the things that I really learned from her, and I grew as a person. So there's really no darkness that I went home with playing her. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're an established star in South Indian cinema, and I think you
Yes.
debuted in Bollywood with Madras Cafe.
Yes.
Um, but does returning back to Hindi cinema kind of make you feel like a newcomer all over again now? Because obviously,
Exactly. I feel like a newcomer who's just come into another industry and have to work all over again, which is a great feeling because it just pushes you to again keep doing your best and to again feeling butterflies before there's a release because you're still very new. So I think I have that emotion. I feel like that, and I think it's a great feeling.
right. But if you could talk me through a bit about your approach as an actor, Rashi. I mean, all these years, what has been your ideal when it comes to choosing a particular project or choosing a particular role?
So see, a lot of times we don't choose the films choose us, the scripts choose us. And I may want to be a part of something, but I may not get that opportunity. So as an actor, I've always had to choose from whatever was available to me. And I was always very certain of certain films that I would want to do, and very certain when I didn't want to do certain films. And I followed that. I followed that for life. And I feel a character has to be written well to have some impact, firstly, or you need to do it so that it helps you in your future. Say you work with a big star, it might not give you a great character, but it will give you a wide reach. So there are different reasons why you do a certain thing. But basically, the director, if it's a great director, I don't mind who is in the film. If it's a big hero, I really wouldn't care if my role is that big. Or if it's a really concrete role. There are a lot of reasons why you sign certain films, but I have never signed films based on desperation of wanting to work and just signing anything that comes my way. That's something I've never done.
That's a really great thing. And I think it's interesting you say that because I was reading or watching an interview with Samantha, I think, just recently. And
Mhm.
I feel like in the South Indian film industry, I feel like it's still very quite patriarchal. Like I feel like
Yes,
it's
it
still
is.
very male dominated. I think even Radhika up there was talking a bit about that. So I think for actresses nowadays, to really carve their own and to really be that force that the males are controlling so far. How difficult has it been, do you think, Rashi? And how far away is that industry from actually being a standalone film industry where it is, where women are taking center stage in that sense?
I genuinely feel that it's not just the South, it's everywhere. Maybe Bollywood is probably, on the surface it's equal, but actually there is
Yeah,
patriarchy there. It is male
true.
dominated.
Very true.
So it's not, and South is just on your face patriarchal. So patriarchy is there throughout, like it's everywhere. It's not just the South or maybe, some remote part of India, but it's everywhere. And it's subtle, but it's really there.
Hmm.
And we as women struggle to survive in any place anyway because of that. And I think what needs to change is at the roots. We need to bring education to people first, to first treat men and women equally, which still doesn't happen, and we're still far away from it. There's still talk about it. There's still some progress over it, but we're still far away from it.
Right. But one thing I must say is that South Indian cinema, the content there is very fearlessly creative.
Yes.
There's no fear of box office pressures, and they are not afraid to take risks, which is something which
I
I really admire.
I think not really. I would disagree with that because I think a lot of people are driven by just numbers,
Oh,
and that happens. Yes, that happens in Telugu majorly. But I think the only people who are not afraid to take any risks, despite the money involved, are the
oh
is the
yes,
Malayalam
true.
industry.
Yeah,
They are the actual risk takers. The kind of roles they play is just crazy, and you're like, how can you just play this role? And they're like, yeah, because you're risk takers. That's what people want. That's what we want as actors. So if you really need to grow, I think Malayalam is the industry to be a part of.
right. Okay, so how much of a risk taker are you, Rashi, then?
I'm a huge risk taker, if you see, because I decided to come into Hindi with this eccentric character, which could have gone completely wrong as well. Like, it could have
True.
gone right, but there were chances it could go completely wrong where people would be like, oh, what is she doing? So I think I'm a risk taker in that sense where I don't really care. I think I'm just honest to my craft. And that is what actually works in the end, because when people see it, I knew for a fact that, I mean, I wanted it to be that way, that even if something doesn't work, they should never say that, oh, this girl can't act. That's something, that's my craft, that's my job, I better do it right. So yeah, it was a huge risk being Alia and playing her, but I'm really glad I did because I grew as a person and as an actor. And it's very rare that women get such characters to play.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm really glad that you did it too, in fact. In fact, that's why I literally was really keen on speaking with you because, it's just really wonderful to see. And I found it really interesting as well, where we have a lot of North Indians, for example, like Tamanna,
Mhm.
South Indian languages is not her main language, but yet she sort of made a career. I mean, Jyotika for that matter too. And it's very interesting. I find that dynamic very interesting as well, Rashi.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
so how I mean, initially when you broke into the South Indian film industry, because obviously, I mean, cinema is a universal language, but obviously languages are quite significantly different to Hindi
Yes.
and to Punjabi. So, how challenging was it for you to adapt to that? And it must have been a very fascinating experience for you to kind of learn a different side of Indian culture also.
It was extremely scary to say the least. I thought I would never be able to learn a language. I was like, what is this? And I think I sort of surprised myself. But it also comes from the fact that I'm very hard on myself and I literally give it my all. So I knew the only way to be honest to my craft in the South is by the language. First, learn the language and then connect to the audience. And that's how I started learning it. And I started learning it, talking to people about it. And today I'm extremely fluent in it, where I'm singing songs in that language. So yeah, I mean, it's very fascinating the fact that India is so diverse that every 100 to 200 kilometers there's just another language, another sort of culture. And I'm really happy as an actor to have really seen it all, and I really feel very blessed. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, so you should. I mean, honestly, it's remarkable. But I read somewhere that actually initially you wanted to become a singer and an IAS officer. So
Yes.
what changed your mind about becoming an actor?
Mhm. I had never thought of becoming an actor. I've said that a lot of times, and I think I accidentally became one, but it's the best thing that happened to me because I don't think I would have wanted to be anything else. I mean, in fact, even when I wanted to be an IAS officer was because I wanted to do something for the country majorly. Wanted to do something about the system, but I feel being an actor also, there's so much stuff you can do to still help people around you. So I
Hmm.
think that's such a blessing to be an actor and to be able to do that. And as far as singing is concerned, yes, I wanted to be a singer, but it sort of took a backseat because I was from a middle class family and studies are more important. If at least do your graduation and then think about it. I think that sort of took a backseat. But again, when I became an actor, I got opportunities to sing playback. So I'm still singing and I'm acting and I can help people. So everything is happening is as per what I wanted and even better.
Right. I know you are a singer and you've done a few playback songs as well for a few films. If you could sing something, I mean, that would be great. If you can,
Oh,
please, Raashi, please.
जरा जरा महकता है महकता है आज तो मेरा तन बदन मैं प्यासी हूँ मुझे भर ले अपनी बाहों में मेरी कसम तुझको सनम दूर कहीं ना जा ये दूरी कहती है पास मेरे आ जा रे.
Wow, this is
Thank you.
brilliant. Lovely. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for that. That was lovely,
Thank
Raashi.
you.
It's
Thank you.
beautiful. But look, okay, so आप एक काफी एक उम्दा सिंगर है ही और एक
जी.
अच्छे कलाकार भी है. But you know one
Thank
thing,
you.
Raashi, I must say, I really I feel for a lot of actors nowadays who are fresh, or sort of. I mean, you've been established for many, many years now, anyway. But I think breaking through now or breaking the glass ceiling now as an actor at a time when there's so much opinions around. We're living in this so-called woke society, and I feel because of the pandemic, things have become so much more uncertain. Does that uncertainty actually fear you at all? Because of the sort of atmosphere that we're living in today.
I think I'm extremely fearless because I'm extremely spiritual, so nothing affects me. Be it success, be it failure, you'll see me in Zen mode throughout. And I'm not afraid of death also. So I'm not really one of those who'll be like, oh my God, something's going to happen, I'm going to die. And even otherwise, I think everything happens for a reason. There are no coincidences. That's how I live my life. And even in something that goes horribly wrong, there's a lesson. And if you can see the lesson, you'll always have a positive outlook in life. You may understand it years later, but everything happens for a reason and for your betterment and for you to improve as a human being. And it is really important. So I think nothing really bothers me anymore at all.
Right. That's great to hear. So would you say that it's spirituality that also keeps you focused on your craft as well as an
Yes,
actor and
yes.
bring that terror, sense of terror in you as well?
Yes, yes, definitely. I mean, there's so much. I think during the COVID time, especially, I was seeking answers, and I read so much, and I saw so many videos, and sort of whatever resonated with me, and I think I became such a better person, and so much more calmer, and so much more focused post the pandemic. And I think it sort of made me rethink a lot of things about my own self and about dealing with certain situations. And it was a great time for me, even though I might sound privileged, but it was a great learning experience for me. And I look back at it in that way, not like, oh my God, I lost 2 years of my life. What did I do? I think those 2 years was so important to learn so many things that I should have really looked at when I was probably younger. So it helped me definitely grow as a person. Yeah.
It's introspective, right? Like it kind of
Yes,
just gives
yes,
you perspective, I think, on
yes.
what life is and where one stands. But Rashi, how difficult is it though to be like this within this industry? Because I feel like there's so much that an actor goes through. There's obviously the professional hurdles, there's the personal hurdles also. So how difficult is it to really stay sane, I think, in such a cutthroat environment or where you are constantly trying to reinvent and express yourself?
I think it's as easy as you make it to be. There's always information around you, there's always stuff around you that's happening, but that's where focus comes in. Where does your focus lie? In looking at what other people are doing or on making yourself better? And I think for me, I have these horns around me, and I completely look forward where I'm just looking at myself and what am I doing, and am I doing my best? What is it that is lacking in me? What is it that I can make better? So I'm never really bothered about anybody else but myself. And I think because of that, because of the way I am, I've reached so far. That's how I feel. If I would have gotten like affected by stuff or what other people are doing, oh, this is happening, that is happening, I would have never stayed focused at my own craft and probably wouldn't have been where I am today. So I think it's really up to you as an individual to see and face it and to understand how you want to go through it. And for me, I don't care about competition. I don't care about anything but myself. I am my own competition. Like I have to become better. That's all
Mm.
on myself. Yeah.
Right. What was one of the most challenging moments in your life or difficult moments in your life, and how did you overcome that?
I think even if it would have been difficult, I wouldn't have sort of seen it as difficult. But I think, yeah, like 2 years back, right before COVID, I was thinking, what am I doing? Like, what sort of films am I doing? Because I don't think I was very satisfied with what I was doing.
Right.
And I think right at that point, a series with Raj DK and Shahid came, and after that, Rudra happened, and right after that, Yodha happened. So I think I put all of my energies on the fact that I want to do something really different, and it just started coming to me. Now I don't know if it was destined. I don't know if it was the energies I was giving out, but yeah, there was a place where I thought, what am I doing? I wasn't happy with what I was doing. Yeah.
Mm. It's interesting you mentioned that because you have Raj and DK's series on Amazon
Yes.
as well coming up. And I mean, I'm not sure. I think it seems to be like an action sort of series, an
Haha.
action-based series. And you're obviously
Mm.
not a stranger to that genre at all. So I
Yeah.
guess, what preparations have been going in for that, and how is that coming? When can we expect that? Because I've been reading a lot about that, and I think we're just at this stage where we just want to see it now.
I'm like completely where you are because I want to see it right now. But I think it's still it's in the editing phase, and dubbing is supposed to happen. And I think it should be the end of the year by the time it releases. But I'm sure it's going to do really well. Firstly, because it's original content.
Mm.
Secondly, it's Raj and DK, the Shahid and Vijay Sethupathi, one of the biggest KK Menon, all the big stars, all the good actors, and I think it has everything going for it. And yeah, the kind of I had to unlearn a lot of things actually to be that character, because there was, there's me and there's this character, and I had
Mm.
to unlearn a lot. I learned to become that character. So there was a lot of learning, and I think Raj sir specifically really helped me become a better actor. He sort of made me unlearn things about acting itself to
Mm.
make me a better actor. Yeah.
And it's quite nice as well because I think the Family Man season 2 marked Samantha's Hindi debut as well.
Yes.
So that was really interesting because we really got to see a different side to her to her caliber as an actor and provide a very different insight to the sort of shades she can play. So I guess is that something which we can also expect with you? I mean, obviously not to compare at all, by the way, when I ask this, but
Yes. Yes.
in that
Yes.
sense, like, is it something that we can also get to see a very different side to you as an actor? And
Yeah, definitely. Because all these years in the South, I always felt that my potential as an actor was untapped for a very long time. And I think that changed with Rudra, and now it will change with the Shahid series, because people will actually start taking notice of the fact that I can act, which was not required really in the South. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I
yeah.
think that's a very good shift that has happened for me. Yeah.
Hmm. Again, Yodha is another action sort of outing also, which is
Yes.
with Sidharth. I mean, it's with another huge production house, which is Dharma Productions. Um, so again, like, what can we expect from you in that? I mean, working with Sidharth as well. I mean, it must have been a very pleasant experience.
So I think yes, it was a very pleasant experience. He's a darling to work with, and he comes from Shesha, and it's Dharma and one of the biggest production houses. And I still pinch myself sometimes when I'm a part of a Dharma production film. Yeah, and it's really overwhelming. I mean, and the fact that there've been so many offers before with Siddharth that for whatever reasons didn't work out, because of dates, because some didn't take off. And I remember having this conversation with Siddharth, and I was like, it couldn't have gotten better than Dharma itself, that we were coming together in a Dharma film.
Mm.
And the kind of character I play is also like, of course, one of the central characters. And apart from the romance that is there, that you'll see me and Siddharth in, there's also a huge, there's a very nicely written character for me, like, a very strong, independent woman that you see me
Mm.
as, and quite authoritative. And that's also something I'm really looking forward to.
And do you think this stint in Hindi cinema, I shouldn't really use the word stint, but I think that's the best way to kind of describe it, like this phase that you're going through in Hindi cinema, do you think that will, in a way, mark like almost a reinvention of Raashi Khanna? Because obviously we've seen your great caliber of work within South, but here, because like you said, they seem to be offering the roles that, you've always wanted to do, which are substantial.
Honestly, yes. I think it will be a reinvention for people who looked at me. For me personally, this is what I've always wanted to do. These are the kind of roles I've always wanted to play. And I'm really lucky that it's happening in Hindi itself, because Hindi is technically difficult to get into. But I think I've been really blessed to be with the biggest production houses with huge actors, and I think it's a blessing. I think it's one of my favorite times, but I still feel there's so much more because I want to work with the Khans at one point, do all that masala stuff that we do in Hindi films, and yeah, just like do so much more. I still feel like a newcomer here.
Well, you can, if you have to dream it to achieve it, as I think Varun said in Coffee with Karan once. So I think it's definitely wonderful to see this amazing work coming from you, Raashi. I was going to say Prachi. I don't know why, because Prachi just messaged me. But thank you. But yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
it's wonderful to see you do some great work,
Thank
Raashi,
you.
and I can't wait to catch up some of your amazing works as well. I mean, I'm really highly awaiting Raj and DK
Thank you.
series as well as Yodha. So hopefully we'll be able to
Thank
catch
you.
up then as well. But apart from
Yes,
that,
yes.
thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, Anand.
And
Thank you.
congratulations on Rudra once again.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank you.
much.
Bye. Bye. Bye.